Hey everyone, welcome to Lilybugs Library, or welcome back. And today is a Friday Reads. A little late getting this one done. Still Friday. That's good, right? But just, yeah, had some things to do this morning and then hadn't slept well, so I went back to bed for a bit. And they've changed a bunch of my medications, so I'm dealing with that. So it was a little late of a start. But that's okay, we're here now. So didn't read much this week. I seem to take, like a couple one week, and then the next week it's like, six or seven. So I don't know, whatever. But what I did read, I finished a 3-book problem by Vicki Delaney. And this one was the 7th in the Sherlock Holmes bookshop mystery. I've never read any of the other ones. I just happened to, not even sure what spurred me onto this one. Maybe the title, but I got it from my local library. So when it became ready for me to get, it was like, okay, we're reading it now. So this one is about what was her name? Jane Watson and Gemma Doyle. So Jane is a chef. She prepares these lavish meals and things. And Gemma runs a bookshop, and it's based on Sherlock Holmes. So it has, I guess it's not just a bookshop. I think it also has some Sherlock Holmes, memorabilia and sort of things. But anyway, she's a Sherlock Holmes aficionado. So they get asked to go to this house that this person's renting to have a Sherlock Holmes weekend. And so he was supposed to invite some people that he knew, and he was going to show like a Sherlock Holmes movie. They were going to discuss the books, have these, big lavish meals and things, and walk around the grounds, and, really lend into it. So they show up there, and they start, working on getting everything put together. And as time goes on, someone ends up getting killed. And so then it's all about them trying to figure out, who it was that did it and why. And they're assuming that it's someone, kind of a locked room sort of thing, that it's someone that's right there for that weekend. So it was really good. I enjoyed it. It actually made me so I really wanted to go read a Sherlock Holmes book, just because there were, certain references and different things. And I thought, you know what? I don't know that. And so I can actually say I don't think I've ever read anything by Arthur Conan Doyle. So that, I guess, has now been put on my bucket list. It's I will have to read something by Sherlock Holmes. So if anybody has any recommendations, or not by Sherlock Holmes, about Sherlock Holmes, but if anybody has any recommendations on a Sherlock Holmes book, let me know in the comments below, because I don't even know where to start. I have heard Hound of the Baskervilles is not necessarily as good as some of the others, even though it seems quite popular. So again, love to know what you think if you've actually read any. But with this one, it was good. The characters, were decent. There was a lot of them because of the fact that there was the party going on, and then Gemma and her husband and her best friend, and they start to add up after a while. But I think considering how many people she had to work with and everything, I would say they were quite well done. And I didn't guess who it was that was the murderer, so that's always good. It wasn't something, I didn't connect really well to it. Like, it didn't have that same cozy feel that some do. But it wasn't bad, so I would give it 3 out of 5. So the next one I read was the second in the Assistant to the Villain series. So first was Assistant to the Villain. Now this one was Apprentice to the Villain, and I think the third one is Accomplice to the Villain. So Apprentice to the Villain, and I meant to do this when I read the first one, and I didn't, but each one, the little synopsis has a little note at the beginning, and this one says, "Notice to staff, there has been a disturbing increase in cheeriness, sprightly behavior, and overall optimism of late. Please resume your former dark, ominous terrors at your earliest convenience. Signed, management. So it always makes me laugh. But with this one, Evie Sage has been working for the villain. She has, grown to have feelings for him. And in the first one, it was as his assistant. And then something happened at the end of the first book that she needed to step up her game and be more than that. So she was trying to get him out of trouble. And so in the meantime, she, is now saying, like, I want to know what you know. I want to be your apprentice. And so it's lending a whole different outlook to things. So really enjoyed this one as well. Did not enjoy it quite as well as the first one. For one thing, it's got more language in it, and it's a little steamier. So that's just who I am. So, I liked it. I would give it probably 3.5, rounded up to 4. So that was the 2 things I read. I did start another one, but I DNF'd it very quickly. I'm not going to go into what it was because, I barely read, 3 or 4 pages and knew it wasn't for me. And I don't want anyone to, base what they think on that just because of the fact that, again, this, author's not even out yet. So I'll leave that one since I don't have enough to say about it. And, eventually other people will review it. So we're just going to move on. So the other things that I want to talk about was a little bit of, what I've watched and read and listened to and all of those things. So what Wonderful Husband and I are watching is 24 and 24. So I don't know if anyone's seen this show or, what they think of it, but we love it. It's 24 chefs who have to cook for 24 hours to try and win whatever the prize is, some large amount of money. And so they really don't get many breaks. It depends on how they do in the challenges, whether or not they're going to be able to sit down for a few minutes. It's a lot. And we had watched the first season of it. This is the second season. And after the first season, we even said, I don't think this is going to come back. Nobody's going to want to do that again after they see what these people went through. But people did. So here we are. We're ready to watch. So we're enjoying that. I'm reading Clammed Up, which is in the first in the main Clam Bake Mysteries by Barbara Ross. Barbara Ross? I think that's her name. We'll get it sitting over there, yes. and I'm also reading The Language of Flowers for Virtual Book Club. So both the Clam Bake one, I'm really getting into, really loving it. I think it's going to be one of my favorites. And The Language of Flowers, so far I'm not loving it. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that it's kind of heavy, But we keep picking these books for book club that look like they're happy and spring-like, and we think we're going to get a real good pick-me-up out of it. That's not what we're getting. The covers don't match the books at all. So anyway, we'll see how this one goes. What I'm listening to. I'm listening to one that came in on my through my library app, and it's called The Violin Conspiracy. So far, I'm really enjoying that one, but again, it's another one that's kind of hard to read. Those types of books where there's 1 or 2 people you like, but everybody else is horrible. That's kind of the way I'm feeling about this one. It's so many mean-spirited characters that it hurts my heart. But anyway, then what I'm looking forward to. So yesterday we had this amazing day of wonderful weather, very summer-like. I sat out on the balcony. Dudley was in his little playpen and read my book, and it was, went for a walk, and it was just beautiful out. And I know that's just a tease for what's to come because now the temperatures are starting to drop, and it's, we're supposed to get rain for the next 3 or 4 days. So, I'll take the tease though. I'm still looking forward to the good weather where we have, a few days of that. So, fingers crossed. And I'm also looking forward to this annual outing that wonderful husband and I have. We go downtown and we walk along the waterfront, and we go someplace to get fish and chips and sit outside and, really enjoy the day. But it has to be nice enough for us to do that. I don't want to sit there with a sweater and shiver. So it depends on, sometimes it can be the end of May, sometimes it might not be until the end of June. So whenever that happens, that's always a nice day. And then challenges, like I said, medication changes and the weather and all those sort of things. But, and thinking about, okay, so the things I'm thinking about are kind of heavy lately too. Maybe that's part of the problem. But I've been thinking and watching some people on YouTube and reading articles and things, and we've really been thinking a lot about microplastics and forever chemicals. And so we've started to put more things in glass and buy stainless steel things and beeswax wraps and all of these things to try and, I know we can't get rid of those things, but to try to lower our load. And for anyone who doesn't know, because so many things are made of plastic, there's little bits of plastic, little microplastics that get off and get into the water system and get into the food and get into everything, so that like we're eating so much that we don't even realize we're eating. And to the point where, like, I've read articles about how it clogged people's arteries, and that's how they ended up having a heart attack, because their arteries were clogged with microplastics. It's like crazy. And then the forever chemicals, same sort of thing. They've put so many chemicals in so many products, and sometimes food, sometimes your cosmetics and all these different things. And so now they're starting to realize all those things are also getting into our skin and our blood system and, all of that. So won't give you a big long explanation, but just in case you've been totally not paying attention, that's what those things mean. So anyway, it's been interesting now to kind of relearn things and think about what something comes in and how we're going to store it and all those sort of things. I have to say, I kind of am loving the beeswax wraps. They're really nice and colorful, which is kind of, I don't know, a bonus. And they actually cling to your bowls instead of, like, I don't know about you guys, but the cling wrap stuff, it's almost torture sometimes because it just clings to itself, and then when you try to put it around the bowl, it doesn't actually cling to anything. So this is better than that. It might have cost a little more, but it'll last a long time, and it does seem to be working. So I like that. And then the last thing was the fact that we have Victoria Day coming up in Canada. And it's basically a celebration of Queen Victoria. And that was a long time ago. And, it's still a holiday, and I have no problem with that. But I was actually just thinking in my own head that Queen Elizabeth II did not die that long ago. And why don't they change it to Queen Elizabeth II Day? Because the fact that it's Queen Victoria Day, and there is not a person on the planet who was alive when Queen Victoria was reigning, so I feel like updating it a little bit wouldn't hurt. But anyway, those are the things that go through my mind. So that's what's been going on here. Not a super great reading week, but we're getting there, and still have lots on the go. Otherwise, I've been thinking already, because here we are, the 16th of May. So I'm already starting to kind of, have a little niggle in my head of what I'm going to do for June's TBR. Big book summer is coming up, so I'm keeping that in mind too, because I want to have time to read, I'm hoping, at least a couple of big books. And so I want to make sure the other books I read don't take up too much time. So anyway, thinking about all that, and we'll get to that next time. But I hope you have a great long weekend if you're in Canada, or great weekend if you're elsewhere. If you're in the UK, I'm assuming that it's a long weekend there as well. So wherever you are in the world, hope it's a good weekend. And again, if you know anything about Sherlock Holmes mysteries and you have any idea what you think I'd care for, or one that you particularly love, I'd love to hear your comments below. Or if you want, just there's probably a little hat or a spyglass or something. Just send me an emoji to let me know you watched. All right, talk to you soon, friends. Bye bye.